Hi, what is meant by complex sentences? To form a complex sentence, use an independent clause and a dependent clause. Independent clause and dependent clause, both of them, they are important. It's important to remember that a clause has a subject and a verb. An independent clause will look like a sentence. A dependent clause will look a little bit like a sentence, but at the beginning of it will be a subordinating conjunction. Such as the subordinating conjunctions such as if, when, after, because, while, etc. So this is mandatory that a complex sentence has got two clauses. Number one, independent clause. Number two, dependent clause. And both these clauses, they are connected or joined by subordinating conjunctions such as if, when, after, because, while, etc. There are many different subordinating conjunctions. In this example over here, if I can't find my keys, I won't be able to start my car. In this example, we'll begin with the word if. So this if is actually a subordinating conjunction. So in this example, we'll begin with the word if, and if is actually making connection with this clause, and we call it if clause, or it may be called dependent clause. This is the dependent clause, and there is a comma over here, and this is the independent clause. I won't be able to start my car. Each clause has a subject and a verb, and then we know that over here in a dependent clause, I is subject and can't find both of these. These are verbs. And in independent clause, that is I is subject, won't be able to start, over here is the verb phrase. So this is actually verb, or it is actually verb phrase. So the condition of having a subject and a verb by a clause is fulfilled. Both these clauses, dependent and independent clauses, they make a sentence that is called a complex sentence. You could also begin with the independent clause and put the dependent clause after it, as in this example, I won't be able to start my car if I can't find my keys. So same sentence, but the order is changed. Means firstly it was dependent clause that was put in the beginning, followed by an independent clause, but now over here we can see that the independent clause is at the beginning of the sentence, that complex sentence, and we don't put any comma over here because now subordinating conjunction that takes place, or that is used in place of comma. So this is followed by the dependent clause. So now over here, independent clause come first, this one, and it is followed by dependent clause. Independent clause we can see over here, and dependent clause, which are compulsory for making a complex sentence. A complex sentence is formed by an independent and a dependent clause. If this goes first, independent clause goes first, and it is followed by a dependent clause, then there will be no comma over here. In between these two there will be no comma. But if a dependent clause, we know that if a dependent clause comes first and it is followed by an independent clause, then there will be a comma in between these two. But mind one thing, that independent, in the first case, if there is independent clause, that sentence is beginning with an independent clause, there will be no comma, but in place of comma we have to put that subordinating conjunction. As from the above mentioned examples, it is clear. We have more examples in order to consolidate the concept. What are those? We can see them. Let's have a look at them. He asked his friends to come over before the game started. So over here, he asked his friends to come over. So this is an independent clause. It has got a subject and a verb, and it is followed by a conjunction or subordinating conjunction that is before, and it is followed by the dependent clause before the game started. Over here, game is subject and started is actually verb. So this is one example. It can be changed, or it can be written, or it can be spoken in this way as well. Once we put the dependent clause in the beginning before the game started, then we have to put a comma in between the two clauses, means independent and dependent clauses. So before the game started, he asked his friends to come over. So this is also a right way of making a complex sentence. Now look at another example. When Alice gets home, she will make dinner. So in this case, we can see that this sentence or a complex sentence begins with a subordinating conjunction, that is when. So it means that when Alice gets home is a dependent clause. So over here, Alice is a subject, gets is a verb, so it makes a clause. It is followed by a comma. She will make dinner. Over here, she is subject and will make is a verb. So this is actually an independent clause. So both the clauses, once joined together by a comma and a subordinating conjunction, they are going to make a complex sentence. So it can be written or spoken like this as well. Alice will make dinner when she gets home. So over here, Alice is subject, will make is a verb. So Alice will make dinner. So independent clause comes first, and it is connected with the help of a subordinating conjunction when, and there is no comma. It is followed by she gets home, when she gets home. So this is a dependent clause. So she is subject and gets is verb. Let's take another example. Isaac needs to stay home and study because he has a test tomorrow. So from here to here, it's an independent clause. So over here, Isaac is subject, so needs is a verb. We can see over here, and because he has a test tomorrow, so it is connected with the help of a subordinating conjunction, that is because, followed by the second clause, he has a test tomorrow. So first clause over here, Isaac needs to stay home and study, is an independent clause, whereas because he has a test tomorrow is a dependent clause. It depends upon the independent clause. The same sentence can be written as, because Isaac has a test tomorrow, so it starts with this subordinating conjunction and it is followed by a comma. So because Isaac has a test tomorrow, he needs to stay home and study. Over here we can see Isaac is subject, so has a test tomorrow, has is a verb. He is subject, needs is a verb. So same sentence without changing the sense or the meanings, the same complex sentence can be rewritten like this. So we can put independent clause in the beginning or dependent clause in the beginning. Both are correct. Let's take another example. Whenever we get together, we have a good time. So this sentence that is complex because it starts with a subordinating conjunction, that is, whenever we get together. So it has got a subject, that is we, and get is a verb. So whenever we get together, in this complex sentence, the sentence starts with a subordinating conjunction, means it is a dependent clause that comes first, and there is a comma, and it is followed by we have a good time, that is an independent clause. So it has got a subject we and have is a verb. So this is quite a right way of writing the same sentence, but it can also be rewritten or spoken like this: we have a good time. So over here independent clause comes first and it is connected with the help of this subordinating conjunction whenever. So we have a good time whenever we get together. So this is actually whenever we get together, this is a dependent clause. So it makes another complex sentence. Sometimes the dependent clause appears in the middle of a sentence. For example, the people who live downstairs are from South Africa. So in this sentence we can see it's a complex sentence, but we know that the dependent clause is neither used in the beginning of the sentence nor at the end of the sentence. Rather, the dependent clause appears in the middle of the sentence. So the people who live downstairs, so over here we can see that the people are from South Africa. So this black ink is showing that this is an independent clause, and in between this and this there is a clause that starts or that begins with subordinating conjunction who and who live downstairs. So it makes it a dependent clause, and it appears in between the main or independent clause. So that's why it is another way of writing the sentence, that is a complex sentence. So if we write the people are from South Africa and we remove who live downstairs, so then there will be there will be some question that the people are from South Africa, who people, where are they living? We don't know much about these people. So that's why dependent clause clarifies so many questions. So it means, to sum up, we can say that both dependent and independent clauses, once they are put together with the help of some subordinating conjunctions, they make a complete sense. Hope this lesson will help you in understanding the concept of complex sentences. Thank you.